I've never heard of a Galactic Federation while I was in CIA itself. I would add that Mr. Ashed is just more than a counterpart to NASA administrator. He's more like the counterpart to the director of the National Reconnaissance Office. And in that sense, he's tied to the Israeli intelligence service. He did claim that, and he claimed that our president at the time, President Trump, knew all about it, but that we were not ready to make that type of contact with the Galactic Federation. Humanity wasn't ready, and that humanity must be prepared. But those comments also dovetailed nicely with what former Canadian Defense Minister Paul Hellyer has also said about the existence of a Galactic Federation. Now, going back to CIA, there was a remote viewer by the name of Mel Riley. He's now deceased. And his remote viewing session was facilitated by Major Ed Dames. And in this remote viewing session, where Mr. Riley did not know the target, he described a Galactic Federation. He described his experiences of being led into a cave and meeting various beings and seeing a platform that he was then placed on and having these other beings surround him, and that these beings were from the Galactic Federation. And so, say what you will about remote viewing, but in many instances, there was a success ratio with remote viewing. It just wasn't consistent enough to be a source of intelligence, but an informed intelligence. And so on that basis, I would say that there is some truth to perhaps what Mr. Ashed has said, also what Mr. Hellyer has said, and what Mel Riley reported in his remote viewing notes.
Do you know who might be the Galactic Federation members?
I don't. Again, this is all anecdotal. People have seen various beings of certain archetypal appearance. And you have the tall beings, or sometimes called the tall Nordics. You have shorter beings. You have grays. You have reptilian beings or saurian beings that are not harmful, that they're very friendly. But then there are people report saurian beings or reptilian beings who are not exactly malevolent, but they don't have the very best bedside manner. They tend to be aggressive, and they tend to be antisocial. And so at least these beings have been seen, along with the mantis beings, on the planet by various experiencers. And whether they constitute all of the Galactic Federation, who knows? I don't know. But perhaps these beings are the ones who are somewhat authorized, I would say, by the Galactic Federation to make more direct contact, perhaps because of they had some prior contact prior to humans' arrival, and that they've been on the planet for a long time.
Have any agencies categorized these species that you've been mentioning?
I don't have no direct knowledge of that, other than anecdotes that there are these various other beings working with the U.S. government. When I say government, I actually mean to say perhaps the military services, not necessarily the intelligence community. I've heard Navy and I've heard Air Force.
Are they all exchanging freely this information that the agencies and military find out on their own?
What I was told, and again, I must stress that these are anecdotes told to me, unsubstantiated, because I have no direct knowledge. But what I was told was that they're helping us to derive the technology and adapt it for human use.
And who has control over that?
Basically, they do.
They decide where that goes to?
Basically, it's their technology. And again, it goes back to unsubstantiated anecdotes of cooperation with these beings, that there was some agreement made with these beings that they would then help us with some of the technology and adapting it for human use. And I was also told that the technology is not really a weapon system per se, but mostly something we call an ISR, or intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance platform. Some kind of craft that is able to travel to any point in the world very quickly and have persistent coverage of that area of the world and not be seen at all. And
How quickly, when you say quickly?
I didn't know.
You didn't know?
I didn't know. They didn't tell
Is it
me.
instant? Is it,
More than like a satellite can get there.
Okay.
The satellite travels
That's very quick.
at 18,000 miles per hour in orbit, low Earth orbit, but faster than that. And the persistent coverage without being seen are like the goals of ISR. That is the golden nugget that ISR strives to achieve. And so you hear about the TR-3B. I've never heard of a TR-3B. I've heard of a TR-1, which is an enhancement of the U-2 aircraft. And I've heard of the TRX, which is the next generation of the U-2 aircraft. TR means tactical reconnaissance. And I never heard of a TR-2, which should have preceded a TR-3. And I don't know if a TR-3B exists, but I do believe that there is some type of ISR craft that does exist, that is aerospace, not space, but aerospace, that flies in Earth atmosphere or slightly above Earth atmosphere, and is able to conduct that ISR mission for the Pentagon.
While this craft is in the exo-atmosphere, is it manned or unmanned?
I was led to believe that it is completely unmanned, that we could not pull the acceleration these craft are able to do with a human on board.